Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope every one of you is doing well. Okay, so the topic that we are going to cover today is constructing expressions. So I guess we already have prior knowledge about an expression. Just to be started with it, an expression seems like this: 2x plus 6, right? So this is an expression where this 2 is called the coefficient. This x here is the variable, and this 6 here, which is alone, is called the constant, right? Okay, now the main topic that we need to cover today is, we know what an expression is already, and now how to construct it, how to construct an expression. Okay, suppose you will be given a sentence, and then from that sentence you have to make or construct an expression. So the question might be something like this: multiply x with 2 and then add 3, right? So in order to solve these problems, you need to look into the language of the questions very carefully. You need to understand what the question is asking of me to do. Multiply x with 2 and then add 3. So I have got three things here. First of all, I have got a variable to start with, and they have given us the variable, which is the unknown itself, is called the x here. Now they have said us multiply x with 2. So the first thing that we need to do is, this is our first task. We have to multiply x with 2 and then we will add 3. This is the second part. So the first part is, we'll multiply x with 2, and the second part is, and after multiplying x with 2 we will add 3 to it. So how do we do it? This is x multiplied by 2, right? So I have done the first part, multiplying x with 2, and then remember these languages, understand these languages. And then means after the first part, after I'm done with the first part, and then I will add 3 to it. Add 3 to what? With the first part, plus 3, right? Okay, so x multiply 2 plus 3. Now for this thing, if you leave your answer here, that is correct also, but the more appropriate way of doing it is, when we have a number and a variable multiplied together, we can write this as 2x plus 3. So remember, always write the constant before the variable. Do not write x2. Instead of x2, write 2x, because now this 2 is a coefficient of x. Just in the first example that I told you, 2x plus 6, here 2 is the coefficient, x is the variable, 6 is the constant. Same case here, 2 is the coefficient here, x is the variable, and 3 is the constant. Okay, so it's just about understanding the language. Suppose if I give you another question, add 5 with x and then divide by 2. Okay, so now I need to understand what is my first task and what is my second task. So first of all, I have got the variable x here. What is my first task? Add 5 with x. This is my first task. And then divide by 2. This is my second part of the answer. So how do I do it? Add 5 with x. just add 5 with x. You can write it as x plus 5 or 5 plus x. Same thing. 5 plus x. Now, what is the second part? Then divide by 2. I will divide the addition of this. First of all, I will add this up and then I will divide it by 2. So if I write it like this, divide by 2, it simply means I'm dividing x by 2, because if you remember from the order of operation, we always do division first instead of addition. But my first part of this question was add 5 with 2. If I would have known the value of x, then I would have added that with 5. After that summation, I would have divided it with 2. So you can write it like this. You can put it in a parenthesis or bracket to simply mean that I'm adding 5 with x first, and after that after the summation I will divide it by 2. Or you can write it as like this also, as a form of fraction. X plus 5 or 5 plus x, same thing, and then divide by 2. So then if you write it in a form of a fraction, you don't need to put these things in a bracket. So whichever way you want to do it. Okay. Another one. Suppose subtract x from 5 and then multiply by 3, right? So in order to do these maths, you need to understand the language. It's very important. See, first of all, my variable is x. What is my first task? Subtract x from 5, right? And then multiply by 3. So this is my second part. This is my first part of the answer. So remember guys, subtract x from 3. What does it mean? I'm subtracting 5. I'm subtracting 5 from x, right? So I subtract x from 5. So I'm subtracting 5 from x. So it will be like this. X, sorry, my bad. It will be subtracting x from 5. So 5 will be in the first place 5 minus x, and then after I got this result, I will multiply it with 3. So multiply by 3. But if I write it like this without the brackets, it simply means I would have done x into 3 first, and then after that after the product of x into 3, I would have subtracted it from 5. No, but my first part of the task is subtract x from 5, and after if I would have known the value of x, if I would have solved it, and only after that I would have multiplied it with 3. So in order to show that the first part of the question needs to be done first, you put it in brackets. So 5 minus x multiply by 3. So always do that, because the order of operation teaches us that we start off with multiplication, division, right? So first of all brackets, multiplication, division, addition, and at the last subtraction. Okay, just want to finish it off with the last example. So this question says subtract 5 from x. You need to understand the difference between subtracting x from 5 and subtracting 5 from x. Remember, subtract 5 from x. So I'm subtracting 5 from which? From x. So x will be now in the first position. So this is my first part of the question, and this is my second part of the question. So I'm subtracting 5 from x. So x will be in the first position. X minus 5, right? And then divide by 2, right? So if I don't want to write it in a fraction form, how do I do it? First of all, put this in brackets, and then after, if I would have known the value of x, I would have subtracted that and find out the value, and only then I would have divided it by 2. And which I prefer is the fraction way. So write it like this: x minus 5 and then divide by 2. So when you write it in fraction form, you don't need to put the brackets over here. Okay, thank you so much for bearing with me. I hope I have made you clear about this topic. Okay, take care everyone.